Before I could react, the in-game camera turned, pointing directly at his real-life webcam. And there he was, standing in the corner of his room, barely visible in the shadows. Not moving, not blinking, just staring at the monitor. I typed again, fingers shaking. "What you doing?" This time he spoke. Not in the chat. Out loud. His voice came through the stream, ragged and hollow. "It's almost finished." "What is?" I asked, my throat dry. "The download." The feed flickered. For a split second, I saw something impossible. Strings of code unraveling across his walls like spiderwebs, letters and numbers etched into the paint itself. Then the screen stabilized, showing his avatar in the game. Only it wasn't static anymore. It was moving on its own. The figure walked toward the camera with an unnatural gait, joints bending just a little too far. Its smile stretched wider than a human mouth should allow. "Shut it off." I yelled into my mic, "Daniel, shut it down." He didn't respond. He just kept watching, lips moving in that same eerie whisper I'd heard before. Then the lights in my own room flickered. Once, twice. My monitor flashed black, then displayed the same warped landscape from his game. For a heartbeat, I thought maybe he'd screen share by accident. But no, the angles matched my exact desk. My own webcam light glowed red, even though I hadn't turned it on. I slammed my laptop shut, heart racing. The humming stopped, but the silence was worse. I called him immediately. After a few rings, he picked up. His voice was barely a rasp. "You shouldn't have looked." "Looked at what?" I demanded. "It's bleeding through now. Doesn't matter if it's a screen or mine. Once it sees you, you're part of it." His words sent a chill crawling up my spine. "Daniel, listen to yourself. You're scaring me. Just delete it, man. We can fix this." "You can't delete it." His voice broke into a laugh, jagged and humorless. "You don't delete a door once it's opened." And then the line went dead. I don't know what made me do it, but I grabbed my keys and drove to his house. It was past midnight, streets empty, air heavy with that strange electric stillness before a storm. When I got there, the front door was ajar. The same static hum leaked into the night air, faint but unmistakable. Inside, the living room was trashed. Cables yanked from walls, furniture pushed aside, like something had torn through the place. I shouted his name, but only my echo answered. His bedroom door was wide open. The monitor flickered with that warped landscape, but the chair was empty. His headset lay on the floor, the mic bent at an odd angle. On the screen, his avatar stood motionless, staring forward. After a moment, it tilted its head, like it was looking at me through the monitor. I stumbled back, my chest tight, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Then the avatar spoke. "He's here now." The voice was Daniel's. That was the last time I saw him in the flesh. After that night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the walls, every flicker of the street lamp outside felt like a signal. I kept replaying Daniel's last words in my head. "You don't delete a door once it's opened." I tried convincing myself he'd just run away, that I'd find him sleeping on some couch a few towns over. But the empty chair, the word from his avatar, the way the game had bled into my own room, I knew better. So I did what anyone stupid and desperate would do. I went looking for answers online. I started with torrent forums, buried subreddits, obscure Discord servers. At first, I found nothing but the usual chatter, cracks, keygens, shady download links. But then, buried in an archive of an abandoned forum, I found a thread titled, "Ghost Cracks." Anyone else affected? Most of the posts were dated years ago. The usernames were long deleted. But the words chilled me. Downloaded a cracked version of an old strategy game. Thought it was just buggy. But after level 3, I saw my own house in it. NPCs call me by name. They tell me things I haven't told anyone. My brother won't leave his room. Says he has to finish the update or they won't let him out. The thread went on for pages. Every story sounded different at first. Different games, different mechanics, different excuses. But the pattern was always the same. A pirated file, glitches that seemed too personal, then people disappearing. Some posts ended mid-sentence, like the writer had been cut off mid-thought. Others trailed into gibberish, strings of numbers and corrupted text. And then I found the one that made my blood run cold. A user named Zero NLY Mirror had written, "They're not games. They're containers. Whoever makes them hides code inside. Code that isn't supposed to exist. That's why they're passed around as cracks. No antivirus will flag them. They're disguised as something broken, but they're whole. They're hungry." I sat back, my palms sweating. It sounded insane, paranoid conspiracy rambling. But wasn't that exactly what Daniel had become before he vanished? Another reply from the same user read, "The moment it shows you something familiar, it has you. That's the handshake. The longer you stare, the deeper it gets. If your name shows up in-game, you're already marked." My stomach twisted. I remembered Daniel telling me the game had spoken his mother's voice. I remember my own window, the shadow passing by. I was marked too. I tried to contact the user, but the account was long dead. The forum itself had been archived years ago. Still, I kept digging. On an encrypted pastebin someone had linked, I found a list of file names, titles of cracked games scattered across decades. Some were old PC titles, others console ports, even obscure indie horror projects. Next to each name was a note. 3 missing, 5 missing entire dev team. It wasn't just one game. It wasn't even one genre. It was everywhere, hiding in plain sight. And then, at the very bottom, a line of text with no context. "Do not look for them. They are already looking for you." That was when my laptop screen flickered. Just once, for half a second. But when it stabilized, my browser was gone. Instead, my desktop wallpaper had changed. It wasn't the photo of me and Daniel at the lake last summer anymore. It was a screenshot. My own face, sitting at the desk, lit by the monitor. I slammed the lid shut, hard in my throat. The words from the forum echoed in my skull. The moment it shows you something familiar, it has you. I wanted to throw the laptop out the window, smash it with a hammer, anything. But a darker thought stopped me. What if it didn't matter? What if the game wasn't in the machine anymore, but in me? That was the night I stopped looking for Daniel online. Not because I gave up, but because I realized whatever had him might be crawling closer to me. And maybe, just maybe, it was too late to stop it. I wish I could say I stopped after finding that forum, that I closed the laptop, burned it, walked away. But fear has a strange way of gluing you in place. Once you know the shape of the monster in the dark, you can't help but stare, hoping it blinks first. The next few days were a blur. I kept telling myself I wouldn't open the laptop again. And yet, every night, like clockwork, I found myself back at the desk, hands trembling as I pressed the power button. At first, nothing unusual happened. No strange files, no flickering screen. Just silence, the faint hum of the fan. But then the wallpaper changed again. Not instantly, slowly, pixel by pixel, like someone was painting it in real time. The image formed into Daniel's face. Not smiling, not screaming, just staring. I nearly ripped the plug from the wall, but something stopped me. The eyes in the picture weren't looking out. They were looking past me, as if watching something over my shoulder. I spun around. Nothing. But the silence felt heavier, like the room was holding its breath. That night, the dreams began. In the first one, I was sitting at my desk, watching myself on the monitor. Except the me on screen wasn't moving in sync. Its lips twitched, muttering something I couldn't hear. When I leaned closer, it leaned closer too, but its mouth was smiling while mine wasn't. I woke up drenched in sweat, heart hammering. By the third night, the dreams had changed. They weren't just dreams. I'd wake to find my monitor glowing, even though I'd shut it off. The screen would show familiar places: my kitchen, my hallway, the front step of my house. Each time, the camera angle was closer, like something was walking toward me while I slept. I started staying awake. But even then, the line between waking and dreaming blurred. Once, while making coffee, I swear I heard Daniel's voice whisper through the static hum of the fridge. Almost finished. The worst part was the mirrors. One morning, brushing my teeth, I glanced up and froze. My reflection was smiling. I wasn't. The toothbrush clattered into the sink as I staggered back. For a split second, the reflection tilted its head in that same unnatural way Daniel's avatar had. Then it snapped back to normal, leaving me gasping like a fool in my own bathroom. Sleep-deprived and half-crazed, I tried calling Daniel again. Straight to voicemail. I left rambling messages, begging him to answer, cursing him for dragging me into this. But deep down, I knew the truth. Whatever had him was using me as the next foothold. The final straw came a week later. I was sitting in the living room, trying to distract myself with some mindless TV, when a static buzz crept into the background. Not from the speakers, from the walls. It vibrated through the floorboards, rattling in my teeth. The television flickered, then switched inputs on its own. HDMI 2. No device connected. The screen stayed black for a moment, then lit up with a feed I recognized all too well. My own bedroom. The camera angle was impossible, like someone was standing in the corner ceiling, watching. I could see myself, hunched on the couch, staring in disbelief at the screen. And then, in the feed, the me on screen smiled. I lost it. I hurled the remote at the TV, shattering the glass, sparks hissing from the cracked display. The static died instantly, but the silence afterward was worse. Like whatever had been watching me had just slipped behind another curtain. That night, I barricaded the bedroom door, stacked furniture against it, and sat clutching a kitchen knife like a child with a security blanket. I thought maybe if I just stayed awake, if I just resisted long enough, I could ride it out. But at 3:17 a.m., my phone lit up. A notification from Daniel. I didn't want to open it. Every instinct screamed not to. But my thumb betrayed me. It was a photo of me, asleep in bed. The worst part? I wasn't asleep. I was wide awake, staring at the photo in my hands. I dropped the phone, heart lurching in my chest, ball rising in my throat. I could feel it now. The thing, the presence, moving closer. The door creaked, though no one touched it. I don't know how long I sat there, trembling, knife gripped, so hard my knuckles ached. But I do know one thing. The screen doesn't end where the pixels stop. It's leaking, and it wants me next. By the time the 8th night rolled around, I knew it wasn't about resisting anymore. It was about surviving long enough to understand what was happening to me. But how do you fight something that isn't supposed to exist? I stopped using my laptop. I smashed my phone. I even shut off the power at the breaker, thinking maybe I could starve it out, cut whatever invisible cord it was pulling through. But even in the dark, the static followed me, soft at first, like tinnitus, then louder, until the silence itself seemed to vibrate. And the shadows weren't mine anymore. I noticed it first in the bathroom. I moved left. My reflection moved left too, but the shadow behind me lagged. Just half a second, just long enough to notice. Long enough to know it wasn't an accident. By the second day, without screens, I was losing my mind. My hands shook. My thoughts frayed. Every window I passed reflected me wrong. Mouth too wide, eyes too hollow, head tilting at that impossible angle Daniel's avatar had once shown. Then came the knocking. At first, It was gentle, like a neighbor tapping on the wall. But my house doesn't share walls. It grew louder each night. Slow, deliberate raps that echoed through the wooden tile until I couldn't tell if it was coming from the front door, the ceiling, or onto the floorboards. The final night, it stopped pretending. At 2:14 a.m., the same time Daniel once warned me about, the knocking erupted into a pounding so violent the pictures shook off the walls. I pressed myself into the corner of my bedroom, knife clutched tight, furniture barricading the door. And then silence. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd imagined it all. Maybe exhaustion had finally pushed me past the edge. But then my monitor, still unplugged, still shattered, flared to life. The cracked glass glowed faintly, spiderweb fractures forming a distorted window. On the other side wasn't my desktop. It was a hallway, Daniel's hallway, and he was standing there. Not the Daniel I knew. His face was stretched, his jaw too long, his eyes two pools of static. His body twitched like corrupted animation frames. But it was him, or what was left of him. He raised a hand and pressed it against the inside of the broken screen. I don't remember dropping the knife, but I must have, because when I blinked, my palm was pressed against the glass too, meeting his. The screen rippled like water. The static roared. And then I was standing in his house. Not really. Not physically. More like some cruel imitation. A half-rendered dream of his house stitched together from corrupted textures. The walls melted and reformed like wax. The air buzzed with electricity. Daniel stood in front of me, smiling that impossible smile. "Told you," he whispered. "Once it sees you, you're part of it." I staggered back, my chest heaving. "Where are we? What is this?" His head tilted, twitching with a sound like glitching audio. The other side, the place between. It was never about the game. The game is just the door. Behind him, shapes stirred in the flickering dark, shadows with limbs too long, faces blurred like corrupted spegs. They whispered in fragments of code and half-familiar voices. My mother's laugh, my own voice, Daniel's scream. I wanted to run, but every corridor folded back into itself. Every turn led me deeper into that impossible geometry. Doors opened into places I knew, my bedroom, my kitchen, the street outside, but each was twisted, melted like I was seeing them through a broken lens. "You can't leave," Daniel said, following me with that twitching grin. "You don't delete a door once it's opened." The shadows pressed closer, their whispers growing louder, faster, until they merged into one voice. "Almost finished. Almost finished. Almost finished." The air vibrated, my bones rattling inside my skin. And then black. When I woke, I was back in my room. Or at least, it looked like my room. The barricade was gone. The knife was gone. My monitor sat on the desk, perfectly intact, glowing with the title screen of the pirated game. Only one option blinked at the center. Continue. I don't know how long it's been since that night. Days. Weeks. Time slips here, like it doesn't matter anymore. At first, I thought I'd escaped. That maybe the game had glitched and spat me back into the real world. But the longer I sit here, the less certain I am. Everything looks the same. My bed, my desk, my posters on the wall. The little things are wrong. My alarm clock blinks random numbers. The books on my shelf all have blank covers. And the shadows under the door don't match the shape of my legs when I walk past. I've tested it, over and over. This isn't my room. It's a copy. And the game is still running. Always running. The screen glows no matter what I do, humming with that low, hungry static. The continue option waits for me, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sometimes I think I hear Daniel's voice through it, faint, like he's whispering from the other side. Sometimes it's my own voice, taunting me. Other times it's voices I shouldn't recognize, but somehow do. Like it's pulling threads from memories I didn't even know I had. I don't click it. Not yet. But I know I will. Because that's how this works, isn't it? Curiosity wins. Always. The thing behind the curtain knows we can't help ourselves. And maybe that's why I'm telling you all of this. Maybe this is my last chance to warn someone. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just bait now, the way Daniel was bait for me. Maybe the story itself is the crack, passed along, shared, opened by anyone reckless enough to listen. I can feel it watching as I type. I can feel it leaning closer with every word. If you're hearing this, if you're sitting there in the dark, earbuds in, scrolling through late at night, don't download cracked games. Don't click shady links. Don't open files you don't trust. Because it doesn't need you to play for long. It just needs you to look. And the moment it shows you something familiar, your room, your street, your face, it's already too late. I don't know what will happen when I press continue. Maybe I'll vanish like Daniel. Maybe I'll become another echo inside this endless corridor of broken code and borrowed voices. Or maybe I already did, and this is just the afterimage you're hearing. If you never hear from me again, remember this: pirated games aren't free. Something always takes the cost. And if, tonight, your screen flickers, or your reflection smiles when you don't, or your phone buzzes at exactly 2:14 a.m., don't check it. Don't open the window. Don't let it know you're listening. Because once it sees you, you're part of the game too.